All right, so I'm gonna say this is like another story time slash like personal update. Hi, I'm back after a while. Um, I've had brain surgery. I had a Curare malformation that required me to get a brain decompression. Which, for those of you that haven't seen, I don't know how well it's gonna show, but I got a nice big old scar going up my head, back of my neck. I got stitches currently in. Still, which shouldn't be there, which we'll get to in a bit. Um, but yeah, before the surgery happened, my life quality of life went right away. I had no strength left. I couldn't lift anything, couldn't carry anything. I couldn't walk to the end of my driveway without needing a nap. I spent most of my days in bed, with splitting headaches, no energy. Um, my life was just in ruins of what it used to be. I didn't even have it in me to go hang out with people like my best friends, and I usually do that on a daily basis. So it was getting out of control, and then I went to the neurosurgeon to schedule an appointment. They noticed that with the previous MRI, there was actually no spinal fluid flow in the center of my brain, and they put me in pretty quick. It was less than 2 weeks, and I was in for surgery. So on July 28th, 2025, I went in for decompression. Now, when they do that, what they do is, based off my knowledge and how it was explained to me, was they like cut you open on the back of your neck and head. They spread your muscles apart. I believe they had to shave down the C1 vertebrae, like how you have like the three like points on it. They had to shave down like the back one to get full access to the skull, so I no longer have that on my spine, which is wild. They had to peel the muscles off of my skull from my neck and then drill out like the hole at the base of my skull to be bigger, put in a new membrane. I believe they actually had to shave down part of my brain tonsils. It was a whole thing. When I woke up from surgery, it was the most insane pain I ever experienced in my life. I couldn't turn my head left or right. It still isn't the easiest to do, but oh my God. I couldn't. So like in the hospital bed, they have these like built-in like the thing to like lift yourself up and down, and then there's like a button to call help. I couldn't even turn my head to see the button to call for help. And the remote that's attached to the thing, like, yeah, it's on a cable, but it's like really big and awkward, and it would just slide off my bed. And I couldn't even feel for like the cable because it would slide in between like the like board thing that keeps you in the bed and in between the mattress, so I couldn't even feel for it, which was awful because I couldn't get help. And what was insane to me was in the intensive care unit at this hospital, they did not allow visitors after 8 and they kicked out a family member, which made me pretty upset because they were planning on spending the night to help me. And on top of that, I needed the help, and I was very well aware I was on the intensive care floor, and I didn't want to bother the ICU nurses with stupid little things that I can't do. Like, for example, my phone was near dead and I didn't have like a room phone, and the charging port on this Johnny sucks. So it would constantly come unplugged, and I didn't want to have to harass them because I was paranoid that it was going to die and I couldn't call like my family or anything. Um, and I didn't want to bother them with like, hey, can you plug my phone back in? Stupid shit like that. Um, I want to take the load off of the nurses for a bit because the nurse I had, he was absolutely incredible. I'm going to give you a shout out right now, dude. Your name's Donald. Doubt you'll ever see this, but you are the best nurse I have ever interacted with, period, including the ones my mom had to deal with. And I'm just going to say this. It teared me up to think that there was a nurse as good as you that my mom never got. And that bothers me. But you're incredible. Keep on doing what you're doing, Donald. But they called in somebody from the neurosurgery floor to explain to me why they couldn't stay, and I tried to state my case. And as I said, I'm in the worst pain I've ever been in my life. I mean, I can't even think straight because my neck is just screaming in pain. Even with fentanyl and oxycodone in me, I was like still in like 10 out of 10 pain territory. Once when the fentanyl kicked in, usually I fell asleep for about 2 hours. Actually, the joke I have with my friends is 5 minutes later, I was waking up 2 hours later. But the dude just from neuro comes in and he's like, you're not the first person to have this surgery, so you can stop acting like it, which I didn't think that's what I was doing by asking for my family member to stay. Second, he made it clear that I was on the ICU floor, which kind of meant I was like low priority with the way he implied it, because there was people actively dying around me. So, in his exact words. And then the one that really got me was just a reminder, you elected for this surgery. And once when I told him to, quote, get the fuck out of my room, I looked at Donald and I said, and I quote, yeah, this was elective, so I could have a chance of living a normal fucking life. So sincerely to that dude from Neuro, I hope you get fucked. I hope you lose your career. You're a piece of shit. You don't come up to someone who's in 10 out of 10 pain from having what is objectively considered to be one of the most painful surgeries and then berate them because they wanted to have a family member there overnight. Fuck you. Moving on. Basically slept through the night. They just kept giving me drugs and I would just fall asleep every single time. Next day I was able to convince them to let me go because it was a pain in the ass I felt good enough to move and use the bathroom and stuff, but I couldn't do it on my own because of all the BS attached to me with like multiple IVs, electrodes on my chest, all that crap. I couldn't get out of the bed on my own. I had to have help to move all that stuff. And I was just like, look, send me home. I can move. I'll get better. And they did. And things were great for a bit. My recovery was pretty good. They removed the stitches 2 weeks later. And then about a week later, my head started to leak. Interestingly enough, and I was wondering what that was about, and I was doing some reading, and it said that, when you heal, you can you'll have like this clear yellowish liquid kind of leak from the wound. Gross, I know, but that's what was happening. So I thought, all right, I'm just healing. It's already scar tissue. I thought that was a little weird, but I'm like, whatever. Well, 3 days later, somebody notices something purple sticking out of my head, and it turns out a stitch was left in because they did a continuous stitch where when they start at the bottom and they work their way up, they then have like a tail that goes down the center with a knot. Homeboy didn't take that tail out, and it was peeking through my dome. Had to go back to the ER because of that when I called him about it. I spent close to 6 hours there with absolutely no update, going through IVs, getting poked and prodded again, getting tons of MRIs and all sorts of crap that sucks because that shit's loud, and I've had too many MRIs in my day. I hate them. They're awful. You gotta stay perfectly still. You got this terrible mask over your head, and that's when your face starts to itch when that mask goes over your face. Your legs want to start moving because you know you psychologically can't. It just fucks with you. I hate it. I hate MRIs, and the sounds are awful. God, I hate them. They can't pull me out of those soon enough. Had to go through a bunch of them. Didn't even get the results after sitting there for 6 hours, so I just drove home because I live an hour and a half away from this damn hospital. I get home. They call me upset that I left. They're like, why'd you leave? Well, I don't have all night, and I don't want to clock a deer on my way home with a car. Sorry. So I had to go back. That was on a Friday. I had to go back Monday. They ended up keeping me overnight for no reason because they thought they were going to have to explore because of possibility of infection. So I had to fast. My hand was finally looking more normal. The bruises are starting to dissipate finally, but I ended up having to get 3 veins blown out on me, for no reason. I fasted for no reason. Stayed overnight for no reason because by 9 in the morning, they just pulled and snipped and pulled and snipped with nothing to numb me, nothing for the pain. Well, they gave me fentanyl, but that didn't kick in till much, much later, which was, what was the point of that? I was just in crazy pain, and they had to put these current stitches that are in my head right here because of that, with no anesthetic, nothing to numb it. I can promise you, even though I was deep in the ER, they heard my groans with every single pull of that stitch. I promise. I never have sweat and seen stars from pain before. That was crazy. But I'm now having to go back, which is annoying because, as I said, that's an hour and a half away. I have to go back in a few days to get that out. Hopefully, I'm done with going back there, and I'm going to level with you guys. After this experience and what I went through with the Abilify stuff, if you haven't seen that video, check out Storytime, Seizure, Stroke, and the Wrong Medication. That's a doozy. That's a fun story, a fun tale that explains why I will never trust doctors again. And this, once again, I mean, if you can't even pull out every stitch, I got no interest in seeing you. I'm done. And I'm making this clear to everybody watching my videos right now. Crystal clear. If I'm at a show and you see me drop, for whatever reason, if I find out one of you calls 911 on me and I wake up in a hospital, I'm going to find out who it is that called it if I get out of there. And I'm going to hunt you down. I'm not joking. I would rather die on the floor of a venue from a heart attack or whatever. I would rather just stroke or fish out on the floor than go to a hospital. It's just going to prolong my suffering and kill me eventually. That's where I'm at. I made it clear to everybody in my family, don't call 911 if something happens to me. I'm done with this. I am absolutely done. I have no more trust in doctors. This next visit to the neuro to get that stitch out, those two out, is my last. I'm done. I'm utterly done. And what sucks too is the surgery has gave me back some of my strength and has taken away some of the headaches, which is amazing. But unfortunately, the mini seizures or mini strokes or whatever the shit they are have came back full force, usually within the first 15 minutes of the day, and then in the morning, and then like randomly throughout the day. So I'm pretty scared at the moment because I don't want to have another stroke or seizure. And just knowing that the source of it comes from me getting a medication that lowered it by tenfold that I didn't even need puts me in a bit of rage that I can't even begin to explain. And this is actually my first time attempting to record this video without going full-blown rage. But, yeah, I guess that's really all I gotta say. I just hate where everything is right now. I haven't been able to make money. I haven't been able to do anything. Anybody that... If you sent emails, I have them like flagged in my like email to respond to. I just cannot I just don't feel right, guys. I'm going to come back to YouTube full time. I just don't feel good at the moment anymore, and I hate it. But if you guys have it and you want to help, that would mean more to me than you'd ever realize. Donation link will be down below. I also want to say, everybody who has left comments on my community posts, I want you to know this. There are some of those comments that have quite literally moved me to tears. Because, as I said on my last community post, and this is me just being, like, as real as I possibly can to you guys. I was a kid that, like, if I said something in school, I would get, like, laughed at. So I just remained quiet. My nickname was Lockjaw because of that. I never thought in a million years that I would find a community that would care to the level you guys do. And it makes me, like, really emotional thinking about it. And I love you guys. I really do. Thank you guys for everything you've done. All the supportive comments have gave me a lot of strength. Thank you guys. I love you all. I'll be back soon. I mean, behind me, these are records I had never showed before I disappeared from YouTube a while back. Then that continues down to middle cube on the row beneath. So I got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. I just need time. But if you guys can help, anything does. Anything helps. It's a big deal. Helps with gas, helps with food, it helps with literally everything. Keeping my phone on. Thank you guys for everything. I'll be back as soon as possible. I really want to. And I also have a very big project I'm currently putting together that hopefully next year I'm going to begin the filming of. This is not a typical video at all. This is something I have always wanted to do. It is a personal dream of mine. And hopefully by the end of next year, I'll be able to, at the very least, announce what it is. But with all that said, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching. And thank you for caring. And I'll see you guys in the next video.